I was the only guy for a long time. I did all our prospects. Now I have Nathan Gerby, Rob Scuderi. We just hired Mike Kadar as our strength and conditioning coach for our prospects, which I don't know how many teams have that. And then we also have Rob Scuderi that does our D coach, and then we also have Mark Borowicki, who's kind of our player development at the pro level, because we are a little bit of a younger team who are going to have some movement of young guys coming up and coming down, and sometimes that's a little bit of a mental warfare with some of the young guys. So he's a really good sounding board for that. Somebody to, not just go through video, but just go take them for a coffee, have dinner with them, stuff like that. So that's the player development. So I kind of oversee that, which I love because I get to see our young kids coming in, and then we can build a team in Milwaukee to surround our young players.
Welcome back to another episode of the Predators official podcast. Streaming on your favorite device, watching on your favorite device, wherever we're coming to you, we appreciate it. It's great to be back alongside Max Herz from Preds Radio, Kara Hammer of Preds TV. I'm Brooks Bratten from NashvillePredators.com, and another jam-packed show for you this week. 2 weeks into the season, the Predators return home to begin a 5-game homestand, a season-long homestand at Bridgestone Arena. We'll get into that in a moment. Brady Martin heading back to the Ontario Hockey League. The Soo Greyhounds. We'll hear from Predators GM Barry Trotz as that move is made. We've got a great interview with Predators Assistant General Manager and Admirals General Manager Scott Nichol. He was kind enough to sit down and discuss some of Nashville's top prospects, so looking forward to that. Nick Perbix, The Art of a Nickname, Jordan Tutu, our Biggie Awesome Person of the Week, and a fan question as well. So much to get to, so let's jump right in. But first, Max and Kara, lovely to see you as always.
Nice to see you, Brooks. I hope you enjoyed your 2 days off before we kicked off this homestand, because I don't think you're having any time off until you guys hit the road for Sweden, right? 12 games in 20 days. We've got some back-to-backs. You're at home. You're on the road. Get the coffee going, I guess?
It's a lot of games. We heard Andrew Burnett after Monday's practice say, hey, let's not mess around and screw around after practice on the ice. Let's get off the ice, conserve our energy, because they're going to need it. I was talking to Brady Shea in the room after that practice. He's like, wow, how many games do we have? A lot of games. Basically, every other night you're playing back-to-backs. So we're all going to have to conserve our energy, and we're not even playing. Max, how are the vocal cords holding up?
I think okay.
You sound great.
The home load management for me is very different than the road load management, because on the road I'm doing play-by-play, and I think that's a lot more, a lot of strain on the vocal cords. At home, I'm pre-game show, intermission, post-game, play into the crowd. So I think the home games are a little easier on my voice. But it is a lot of home games this week. So we need to see you guys all at Bridgestone Arena this week and this weekend.
It is. It's good to be home. I got to find time to rake my leaves at some point, but we'll get there. It's part of being a homeowner. Enough about that. The top story as we record on Wednesday, October 22nd, Brady Martin, the 18-year-old rookie, obviously made the team out of training camp. He played the first 2 games, did not play on the Canadian road trip. He was in there on Tuesday night against Anaheim, but on Wednesday morning, he has returned to the Soo Greyhounds of the Ontario Hockey League. 3 games with the Predators. He did not reach that 9-game threshold that we'd mentioned. So he still has a 3-year entry-level contract to his name, did not burn that first year. And again, to reemphasize also, he cannot be sent to Milwaukee. I've already seen a couple of people saying, why couldn't he go to the Admirals? He can't. By rule, he was either going to be here in Nashville the whole season, or he was going to go back down to the Ontario Hockey League. So he does end up going to his junior team, the Soo Greyhounds. And Predators general manager Barry Trotz addressed that decision and what he saw from Brady Martin. So we're first going to play you a clip from Barry Trotz on Wednesday morning, just his thoughts on why the decision was made and what he'll look for from Brady as he heads down to the Soo. We'll play that for you here.
Well, I think more than anything, he's done an excellent job. I mean, he's an 18-year-old, got on our starting roster, showed really, really well. I think when you look at the long term for him, he needs to play a lot more minutes. He needs to have the puck a little bit more. He needs to be, a dominant player at his level. And he's got great opportunity, hopefully, with being in the mix with Team Canada for the World Juniors. There's great experiences. So everything was positive. We talked to Brady. We spent a lot of time with Brady. I spent time with him on the road trip. He's really positive, as he would say. I know we're expected to be on opening day roster, and he made it. And so that's really positive for him as a young player, for us as a franchise. I think there's only Matthew Schaefer and maybe Misa still in the mix from this year's draft. But you look at it, he's competing against guys that are 5, 6, 7, 8, 12 years older than him. And so really good experience. I mean, he, as much as he learned on the ice, he learned off the ice about the preparation, the grind, the travel, the buildings, so I think it was a really positive experience. Talked to him about going back, and there is going to be an adjustment period for him. But he's got to take everything he's taken from here, preparation, focus, he's going to be a leader with his team, the details of the game, trying to improve, being a pro on and off the ice, and taking care of himself all the time, so that he can be at his ultimate, potential to succeed physically and mentally every game, because it is a grind. The game takes a lot out of you, and he said that, even though one of the biggest things is how hard you have to play, that you cannot take a breath. Where in junior, once in a while, you can take a breath. And he says you can't take a breath here because they make you pay. It's a very unforgiving league. And so the experience of that, and him even saying that, and adjusting his game, like you didn't see him running through guys that were 45 pounds heavier than him or anything like that. He adjusted his game to control guys positionally, all that. So he's got a good stick. There's lots of good things with him. So he's that move essentially sets us up for some of the other guys in Milwaukee to potentially be called up.
And then before we react, I want to play one more. I asked Barry what he is excited about now that he's gotten a taste of what Brady Martin can bring to this lineup from the time they drafted him in June until now. Why should we be excited for the future and what Brady Martin can bring? Here's Barry Trotz on that subject.
Well, it's sort of the whole package. This is a player that is not afraid of the moment. Like he's not afraid of going up against top guys, and some guys are, but just like every with Brady, you want players to thrive and not just survive. And he's got some things he's going to have to get bigger and stronger and all those things. But the mind of the game, how he thinks the game, all that is in a really good place. So we're really excited. I'm excited for him. I mean, he's going to be a core player for us for a long time, and he's got the right DNA. He's got great work ethic, as we all know. I think he's a very humble kid and a realistic kid. I shouldn't, for him, he doesn't have, sometimes young players see themselves in different ways. He's very grounded and understands what he needs to do and where he wants to go, and he's got an inner confidence and a fire that is undeniable.
Okay, guys, so there you go. Barry Trotz addressing the move for Brady Martin. Probably wasn't going to end up being here the whole season anyway. I don't know that was necessarily a surprise that he ends up going back down. Had some really good experience up here, but it was clear that it's best at this point in time that Brady Martin goes down, is the star of the show down there in the Ontario Hockey League with the Soo Greyhounds. That's what's best for his development right now, and the Preds are looking forward to seeing what he can get out of that experience.
Yeah, I think, Brooks, this whole experience for Brady Martin was a major net positive for him, for the Preds, for everybody. You get a little bit of a taste of your guy. He's not fully NHL ready this year. I don't think anybody would dispute that at any point in this whole process. We heard it at the draft. We heard it in preseason. He's probably not going to play this entire season in the NHL, but I think everything is in place for him to really compete for that opportunity next year now. He got 3 NHL games. He got his first NHL point. He played with the big names in preseason and in the regular season. He traveled with the team. He's worked with all the skills coaches. And now, as you said, Brooks, he's going back to the Soo to play for head coach Terry Crisp. Oh, sorry, I'm about 40 years late on that one. But Crispy will get him right. And
could you imagine, though, if that was the coach?
it would be incredible. But shout out to Crispy, legendary in the Soo, as he is legendary anywhere. But, yeah, there are big things ahead for Brady Martin this year. I will leave it at this. The Soo Greyhounds have not yet announced a captain for this season. Their captain from last season is playing college hockey at Notre Dame. They have not yet announced a captain for this season. They're already playing games. Brady Martin hasn't been there. And also, World Juniors. I think Martin could play a big role with the World Junior team. And Barry Trotz specifically called that out today as something that's a big opportunity ahead for him. But I like the way you put it, Brooks, the star of the show up in the Soo. And I think Martin can really excel there. But we saw the reasons why the Preds drafted him. Yeah, there are other guys with a lot of skill in the draft. And I think the thing that separated Martin from the guys around him, specifically Porter Martone and James Higgins, who went right after him, the intangibles. And we saw Martin. I think he's a potential captain in the NHL in the future. I think that's what Barry Trotz loves about him. And I think the way that he works, in addition to his skill, being in the right position, making the right play, we saw that really pop. And that actually was the area where I think he was most ready to play in the NHL. And that, to me, is what was most promising. In addition to, obviously, he's the 5th overall pick for a reason.
Yeah.
I think also too, Brady Martin is a guy that we know that he's going to go and put in the work, and you learn so much from other guys who are young, still starting out. I mean, let's look at Luke Evangelista as an example. He told me this summer he spent so much time in endurance training because last season while he was playing, he realized he was getting gas when he was stuck out there on longer shifts. This is a guy who played a regular season, and then coming back over the summer, he realized, hey, I still have to put in the work to try to be successful in this league. And I think that's just something that an 18-year-old is going to learn along the way.
Exactly. And we talked on this in earlier episodes, but it is very rare for an 18-year-old to come right from the draft and stick with the NHL team the entire season. This is not an unexpected situation. But Max, you mentioned it, and you heard Barry Trotz say it as well. There are so many reasons to be excited for what's to come with Brady Martin because of what we have already seen from him up here. You mentioned that leadership. I think the thing that I've been so impressed with every time that I've talked to him over the past few months about how he views just being a leader and being a part of a team, the wherewithal, the mindset that he already has as an 18-year-old on that subject is exactly why, as you mentioned, probably going to go back down and at least be a leader on his team, if not the captain, and why he's got a pretty good chance to probably do it at the NHL level someday. So you combine all of that with all the other intangibles that we've already seen, there's a lot of reason to be excited for the future with Brady Martin. So it was great to have him here for a few months. Love to get that experience early on. He'll go back down. He'll have a good season in the Soo. And at this time next year, who knows what we're talking about when it comes to Brady Martin. But yeah, that's the decision that was made today for the Predators. And we'll see what happens in the future with number 44 in gold. But certainly a very bright future it is. We'll jump to this real quick as we get back home. We touched on it, but the Canadian swing, the Predators ended up with a 1-2-1 record. They won in Ottawa, but then losses in Toronto, Montreal, and Winnipeg, and then returned to Nashville on Tuesday night to begin a season-long 5-game homestand against Anaheim. That didn't go Nashville's way either. They lost 5-2 to the Ducks. It just was not a great game overall. And we hear coaches say all the time, you're maybe a little bit worried sometimes coming back home off of a long road trip, whatever the case might be. That was kind of the case for the Preds last night. And Kara, you saw it firsthand, and it wasn't what the Nashville Predators wanted to put forth as they came back to start this homestand.
Yeah, tied 2-2 in the middle of the second period. I felt like when I was talking to Luke Richardson during the intermission, the associate head coach, he said, we're playing a little bit too loose. He's like, Anaheim is a team that's really going to bring the offense to you. And He said, we got to get back to our structure. We need to hunker down. But unfortunately, we just never saw that. We brought it up on the last podcast, and the power play continues to be an issue for this team. 2 for 24 on the season. And I think that was a little bit in their heads. We heard it from Ryan O'Reilly post game. He had a great answer talking with me, taking a lot of ownership for the loss.
We're a lot better than what we showed tonight. Starts with myself, leadership group. We have to make sure the group's ready to go better, and obviously myself too, have to be a lot better in areas. And that wasn't us tonight. No, we know it. We're going to get back to work here. Just the mistakes killed us. We weren't. Whether we thought it'd be easier tonight or something, we have to get back playing that hard game and build our game out from there. And so it's we all know, we can all feel it there. It's very frustrating, it's disappointing, but we're gonna be fine. We're gonna get back to work and we're gonna improve.
You're taking a lot of ownership, but for you guys, what's missing?
Well, I think that confidence. I think offensively, I think we're kind of a little frustrated, especially through power play. We're not, putting it in, and so that frustration. I tend to search for it a bit. I know for myself, you maybe try to get on the offensive side a little bit to search for it, and then ends up in the back of your net. So it's, again, too, as a leader, you have to lead the way the right way and do the right things, and the rest will follow. But we have to shake the frustration and get back to what we do when we have success, and that's starting our own, being hard to play against, taking care of the puck, making it tough on teams, and then the rest will come.
Do you look at that as being at home an opportunity to take advantage of the next 4 games at Bridgestone?
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about we want to make this a hard place, and for a reason we came out flat and didn't have that. But we're gonna adjust, and we'll come back next game and establish that. It's that's a chance. That's how we win games. We're gonna have to play hard and make it tough on teams. And like I said, it's a good opportunities coming up here.
Well, you guys factor, you can't expect anything less from him. He is a leader. He's vocalizing it there. He was very clear that it starts with him, and the offense, it simply needs to get going.
It does, and that's a frustrating part of what's going on right now for the Predators. And for me, and guys talked about this, like sometimes you have games like that, you obviously want to learn something. There's always something to learn, but sometimes you just have a game where you want to flush it. And you're going to have games like that. Whether it's game 7 or it's game 77, you're going to have bad games. That was a bad game on Tuesday night. For me, move on from it. To me, it's all about the response against Vancouver on Thursday and for the rest of the homestand. So, I'm not, there's things to correct from the game against Anaheim, but it's in the past. Let's move on from that. To me, it's all about what is Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. What do those games look like? How do you respond the rest of this homestand to show what kind of team you can really be? That's what I'm looking for. So, again, Anaheim, whatever. It is what it is. What are we going to see on Thursday against the Canucks? That's the biggest question for me as we move forward in this homestand.
Well, the rest of the homestand is against 4 really challenging teams for various reasons. Preds and Canucks, I'm expecting playoff hockey like 2 years ago when these teams get together. 2 teams that are really hungry, 2 teams that missed the playoffs last year. Kiefer Sherwood's first game back in Nashville. He is the Canucks' leading goal scorer right now through 7 games, and he'll be stirring it up as he always does. And then over the weekend, I think the Kings are a good team. They have some really high-end scoring. It'll be Andrei Kopitar's last ever game in Smashville, so last chance for you guys to see him on Bridgestone Arena ice. Then Sunday night, the Stars are really, really good. They have Mikko Rantanen. And then next Tuesday, the Lightning, who are a good team as well. So I think it's been back-to-back games that I have absolutely nothing good to say about for the Preds after they failed to close out the Canadiens. And things have got to change, that's for sure.
I think one thing we can make clear, and we all heard it last night, and Bruno was very adamant about it, this is not last season. So if you're looking at this team and you're looking at a couple of losses and we're only 8 games into the season and you're on your phone tweeting, hey, it's not last season. I think the Preds still have a chance to turn it around. I think they have the right group to do it. I think it's just getting their system back in place and finding a way to win. And I think one of the things, and we just heard it from Ryan O'Reilly, they need to take advantage of playing on home ice. They need to make Bridgestone a tough place to play in. And I think that's something that hopefully we're going to see.
Absolutely. So it's early. And the Predators know that, but they also know that they can't afford to get in too big of a hole. So they're looking forward to getting back at it Thursday against Vancouver. I think there's that excitement to get back at it too. That's, you know, you often say sometimes in the NHL, if you don't like the result one night, you don't have to wait much longer to try to get back at it. And the Preds are going to have plenty of chances to do it. As you said, Max and Kara, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Monday, Wednesday. You know, it's going to keep coming, right? And then we're going to be in Sweden before we know it. So a lot of games coming up. That's a lot of days.
Now
yeah,
I'm questioning the schedule. I think you said every day of the week twice. I'm going to be busy.
Again, I'm concerned that I'm not going to have any time to do any yard work, but that's the way that it goes. So the Preds will find a way to get back at it, and we're looking forward to seeing how they respond in the next little bit here, certainly. Coming up, we're excited for this one. Max and I had a great chat with Predators Assistant GM, Milwaukee Admirals GM, Director of Player Development, former Preds player, titles out the wazoo. It's Scott Nichol coming up.
If
You're
I had
listening
a
to the
nickel.
Predators. Great title. Great. The Mind of Max Herz, ladies and gentlemen. If I had a nickel. You're listening to the Predators official podcast on ESPN 102.5 The Game and YouTube.
Welcome back to the Predators official podcast on Nashville Predators YouTube, ESPN 102.5 The Game, and your favorite podcast platform. My name is Max Herz from Preds Radio, joined by Brooks Bratten from NashvillePredators.com. And our interview guest this week, former Predators player and Predators Assistant GM and GM of the Milwaukee Admirals, Scott Nichol is here. Scott, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure to talk to you, Scott. And Max just named a number of your titles. You've got a lot. Preds Assistant GM, GM of the Milwaukee Admirals, Director of Player Development, former NHL player. You got a lot of important titles. So I'm always curious, in a role like yours, can I give us a little bit of a lowdown? What's it like to not only be an AGM for the NHL club, but the GM for the AHL club?
Well, you hire good people, right? You have good people around you. For start, I guess start with player development. I was the only guy for a long time. I did all our prospects. Now I have Nathan Gerby, Rob Scuderi. We just hired Mike Kadar as our strength and conditioning coach for our prospects, which I don't know how many teams have that. So he focuses on their strength and conditioning, of course, but has a relationship with their strength coach wherever they're at. If it's Michigan State or, you know, if it's in the Soo or something like that, just make sure they're doing the right workouts that what we like. We want to develop more speed, more explosive, make sure they're all kind of doing on the same page. So, and then we also have Rob Scuderi that does our D coach, and then we also have Mark Borowicki, who's kind of our player development at the pro level, because we are a little bit of a younger team who are going to have some movement of young guys coming up and coming down, and sometimes that's a little bit of a mental warfare with some of the young guys. So he's a really good sounding board for that. Somebody to, you know, not just go through video, but just go take them for a coffee, have dinner with them, stuff like that. So that's the player development. So I kind of oversee that, which I love because I get to see our young kids coming in, and then we can build a team in Milwaukee to surround our young players. You know, so for instance, last year we signed Daniel Carr, who's a AHL MVP to an American League deal, and he's a very skilled player, but he plays the right way. He gets to the hard areas. You saw his goal, his game-winning goal against Texas. It's right in the blue paint. For a skill guy, he's got a little bit of jam to him. So we thought that would help, you know, bring in like a Matthew Wood if he was with us, or Kemmel, or even Cole O'Hara, where you got to get to the hard areas to score, not just on the perimeter. So that's how I like to see, because I have a relationship with our young guys, our prospects, and then we can kind of build. We've had really nice success in Milwaukee building, like insulating some of our prospects to, get their skill set out. What's their good, like, if someone's of a really high hockey IQ, you want to be able to put them with a player that can think on the same wavelength. And then for the day-to-day stuff in Nashville is great. You know, I watch the games here, travel a little bit with the team. I have a really, it's great to be around our guys, because then we see some of our young guys like Ozzy Weisblatt come up, and we've had a relationship with him. So it's busy, but it's hockey 24 hours a day, and I love it. And I don't know what I'd be doing it's just kind of morphed and grown and more responsibility. But like I said, I have great people that I work with, and our coaching staff in Milwaukee. Ryan Costello, he's in Milwaukee. We promoted him to assistant general manager a couple of years ago, which he is like, he does like all the travel, all the per diem, he's the boots on the ground guy for Milwaukee, so he helps me out a lot.
Well, you just touched on that as far as traveling a little bit with the Preds back in Milwaukee sometimes. To give fans some perspective, you are in Nashville right now, as we are, obviously. But what is kind of the balance of you're in Nashville, you're in Milwaukee, and how much does technology help you be able to do your job? You're able to watch every Milwaukee and Nashville game no matter where you are.
Yeah, so my day-to-day is get up in the morning and talk to Carl Taylor, who is our head coach in Milwaukee, what the lineup, what practice looks like. We'll talk again after practice. How was practice? Any injuries? And then if we have a day of a game, it's almost the same process. I'm probably in Milwaukee maybe 2 weeks of the month. Sometimes I'll just fly in for the weekend to watch the games, and then sometimes I'll have, like last week, I was there for a week, which I really enjoy, because then I get to just kind of hang around, sit with the guys before practice, mingle with them, can take them for lunch or a coffee, and build that relationship. I just don't want to be the GM that just flies in, watches games, and flies out, right? I think for development and bringing these young guys up it's all about communication and relationship based. Like, I think it starts as soon as we draft them. We have development camp, and we start building a relationship there. And then once they're drafted, and then our development team takes over, we go watch them in college or junior, and usually their parents are there, and then we build a relationship with their parents as well. So we're all in it together. It's not one message from the parents and one message from the coaches. Because the kids have a lot now. They got skills coaches, nutritionists, they got skating coaches, they got agents, they got parents, they got their coach where they're at. So we want to make sure the messaging is consistent all the time, and I think that's how they can grow and improve, hopefully relatively quickly.
Well said. We're getting an inside look at the Predators player development process, strategy, and structure from assistant GM and former Preds player Scott Nichol here on the POP. Scooter, let's go through some guys one by one, if we may. A group of 5 guys, all of whom high-level prospects who are with the Milwaukee Admirals first right now. First up, Matt Wood, who just made his AHL debut at the start of this season. He seemed like he was on track to make a big push to make the Preds roster before an injury in preseason. How's his health, first of all, and what's the launch of his AHL career been like for Wood?
Yeah, I'm sure for him, super disappointing, because he did have a great preseason, good rookie tournament, and then he got hurt, and he was hurt for 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks kind of leading into the season, but he started on our roster, which is a big check mark, because that's the first time he's been through, rookie tournament, first time he's ever been through a main camp before, exhibition season. Like, that's a lot for a young kid come in. It's plays a lot of hockey. He's not used to that much hockey in September and the beginning of October. Then he got healthy, came to us. He's played 2 games for us. He's figuring out pro hockey. He scored a beautiful power play goal off the flank, one-timer short side. We all know his power play skill set, his playmaking skill set, the size. He just has a knack of the puck follows him around. For a big guy, he doesn't get a lot of notoriety on how well he, in these small little area games, how he does be able to slip pucks and gets pucks through. And just like a young player, it's all the other stuff that doesn't show up on the score sheet. It's the wedging pucks to get the puck out. It's standing over pucks, protecting pucks, knowing the system, not turning your back, not swinging. So those are always the nuances of a young player of college or junior coming in. But he's doing great. He's in that mix with all those, probably the 5 guys I'm going to talk about that they're all fighting for a little bit more responsibility, a little bit more ice time. But the best thing is they're all the same age, relatively the same age, and they're their peers, and they're growing and pushing each other.
Scooter, how about a guy like Reed Schaefer, a fellow Ginger, which I appreciate, but a guy who Preds fans maybe aren't overly familiar with. He was acquired in the Matthias Ekholm trade, has dealt with some injuries, but he's a guy who looked good in the prospect tournament and a name that I think Preds fans should know.
Yeah, I agree. I think he had a fantastic start last year. I think he had maybe 8 or 9 goals, and he only played 15, maybe 16 games. So the Preds fans probably would have saw him at some point last year. He went down with an injury, good and bad, but you look at him now, he looks like a man. Like he's 6'4", he's filled out, and he had a whole year of training, a healthy summer. He could have maybe came back with us if we would have went to the Calder Cup finals. Like he was right there, but then he had a whole summer of training and getting back, and he is a profile that we don't really have. He's big, he can skate, he's physical, he has some good skill and touch around the net. Scored a really nice goal, I think, in exhibition against Carolina. He cut the seam and went quick. He saw his release, quick shot shelf. So I'm excited about him. He's in that same mix as the guys we're going to talk about. A little bit different profile than, say, Matthew Wood, but you need all those kind of different profiles. So he's just starting. He didn't play much last year. His second game against Texas was much better than the Rockford game. He got in a little bit of a tussle with McKenzie, which he probably should have got a 5-minute major for fighting, but for some reason they only gave him 2, but I'll mark that down as a 5. So he's trying to instill a little bit of an identity to him, like a power forward type of player that won't back down. So he's in a good spot. Give him some time, and maybe November, December, he gets going.
Well, you also, Scooter, neglected to mention with Mark Borowiecki's job, he's in charge of teaching fighting technique to all our prospects as well. So we'll let Boro grade the scrap there.
Yeah, it's not, I know it goes on social media and this guy's Neanderthal, he's teaching these kids how to fight. It's more of like, there's no more fighting anymore. Like there's 3 fights in OHL, there's no fights in the Quebec League. So it's not even fight, it's just protecting, giving these kids some confidence, where to grab in case something does happen. Because you see it now, you get one big hit, and that's what we want. We want him to be able to go through people, but we also want him to be able to where to grab and where to protect himself. And he's a big, strong kid. So it's more that, giving these kids confidence that I can play my style, and if something does happen, then I'm going to be able to protect myself and just, rather than just swing from the fences, because they don't know. It's in the old days, you used to practice in junior in the American League. It's not that anymore. So, but yes, Boro is a good resource for sure.
And the last prospect we'll go through is Tanner Molendyk with Milwaukee, making his pro debut as a defenseman in the AHL. He didn't get to fully participate in camp. He missed some time with an injury with the big club. What has his AHL beginning been like?
Yeah, it's tough with defenseman. What they named the award after him in Saskatoon, the Tanner Molendyk Award, which is the best defenseman. So, and then he got traded to Medicine Hat, had a great season there. They went to Memorial Cup. Skating smooth. He's skates like he's on a hoverboard. He got hurt the first practice at rookie tournament, so he didn't get to participate in rookie tournament. So he missed a big chunk of rookie tournament, and then he missed a week or so of main camp, and played a couple exhibition games. It's almost a little bit like Matthew Wood. You see his skill set. He's like transitions pucks. He's dynamic on the blue line, sees the options, power play, penalty kill. It's just getting all his first touches when he goes back for pucks. He doesn't have as much time, and there's better skaters in the American League and the NHL, so they're on him a little bit quicker. We have him paired with Anders England in Milwaukee to give him a little bit of space, give him a little bit of bravery, give him some time to be able to wheel the net and not be nervous of someone coming down on him. And so you put him with a veteran guy, which can hopefully give him some confidence. Plays on our power play unit with Osterley there, and then Ufko is on the other unit. So he's 2 games in. The thing that sucks about the American League, the first 2 weeks of the season, we played 2 games. We played 2 games in 14 days. So,
oh my God.
So we're off to San Jose this weekend, and then we start getting into the kind of the grind of our season and get these kids some reps. They're tired of practicing, and which is not it's not a bad thing because these kids have never lived on their own. Like we talk about their on ice development. It's so much in the American League is off ice development because they're living on their own. It's actually comical to hear these kids talk about getting an apartment because they've never got an apartment before or furniture or anything like that. So a lot of it's off ice, development, and then once they kind of bring it all together, then they're ready to go.
Scooter, we're running short on time, so we'll finish on this, and I'll throw out a couple of other names as I ask you this question. Zach Leroux, who did not make the opening night roster, starts the season in Milwaukee. Joachim Kemmel as well, who it was up here, sent down to Milwaukee. Two names that I imagine we could see back here in Nashville at some point this season. But how do you know when a player like that is ready to be called up, and what is it like to make that phone call to tell them?
Phone call, that is the best part of my job, is making that phone call. Absolutely love it. I get so excited. And they should. It's the National Hockey League. There's only a very small, minute percentage of hockey players that make the NHL. And both of them have come down, great attitudes. Zach was probably our best player. One of our best players against Texas. He had a goal and assist. And what I love about Zach is he knows his identity and he played to it. Where, a perfect example is maturity, where we're down 6-on-5. He's out there 6-on-5. He has an empty net and he passes the puck over to Marino for Marino to score in the empty net. Where if he is focused on I got to score goals to get to the NHL, he would have took that shot. So he would have 2 goals rather than a goal and assist. So that's a little thing that I look at. He's growing, he's maturing as a player and as a person. And Kemi came down there, had a couple assists. First 2 shifts, he blew guys up. So he's not you kind of get, you're like, oh, he's just a shooter, but his all-around game is growing, and so is Zach's all-around game. And that's the process of, coming up, going back down, coming back up. They feel more comfortable their second or third time around, and both of them great attitudes, and they want to get back here just like all those other guys. So all super positive.
Scott, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the rare California trip with the ads. That should be some fun to San Jose.
Yeah, it'll be great. Yeah, they got a good team, good young team. They've been in that rebuild for a little bit, so they got some high-end prospects down there, and so do we. So it's going to be a really good young skilled game, and we'll see how it goes.
That is Scott Nichol, Predators Assistant GM, Director of Player Development, General Manager of the AHL affiliate Milwaukee Admirals, and of course, you know him as a former Pred himself. We'll take a break, come back with more after this on the Predators Official Podcast.
Welcome back to the Predators Official Podcast. The POP, I'm Brooks, Max, Kara alongside. As we continue along, thanks again once more to Scott Nichol for having a chat with us. We look forward to talking to him more throughout the season because I don't know about you, Max. I could have gone on for a couple of hours.
I know. Yeah, we wanted to ask about every single player in Milwaukee, and we did not have anywhere near enough time. But yeah, we could go all day, and I think the coolest thing to me, Brooks, is hearing about the structure. And it's not like Brady Martin as an example. Brady Martin got sent to the OHL today. He's going to have Predators personnel checking in on him, not only via phone, but in person quite frequently. Nathan Gerbe, who is the forward development coach, will go and meet with him and skate with him in the OHL in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, and in various cities on the road as well, when convenient. The new name that Scott Nichol brought up, Mike Kadar, who was an NHL strength and conditioning coach for a long time, is now in what is a pretty rare position. As Nichol told us, he is a strength coach for the prospects. And I think Brady Martin will be his number one pupil as he tries to get to an NHL level playing weight and strength for next season.
100%. Really good stuff from Scooter. I actually rode in the back of an Uber with him from the airport in Edmonton to the hotel last year, which, as we know, if you've been to Edmonton, it's about a 3-hour ride from the airport to downtown. So if I ever have that opportunity again, I'll be sure to record our entire conversation, play it on the show. Wanted to mention this real quick. I had a chance to sit down with Nick Perbix, Preds defenseman who has been pretty great these first few games for Nashville. Scored a couple goals. That's not usually expected. But I love talking to him where, as a defenseman, he prefers to not be noticed. And I wrote a story on NashvillePredators.com. Would love for you to go check it out. But just some really good thoughts from Perbix, his defense partner, Brady Shea, on what makes them successful. But especially Perbix, I love it, saying that if I come off the ice and somebody says, "Hey, I didn't notice you a single time out there," he said that's a pretty darn good game. So good stuff from Nick Perbix.
Excuse me, the article was great, so everyone should go read it. The more we get to know Nick Perbix, the more I realize he's really just a very normal guy who became a 6'4" NHL defenseman. He's a high school hockey player. Oh yeah, I got a college scholarship, and like stuff just keeps coming. Oh yeah, I'm in the NHL. He didn't change his jersey number because he didn't want his family to have to buy new jerseys. So that's why he's number 48, which is not a very common NHL number. And a new trend that is developing on Preds social media is Nick Perbix walk-ins. In his walk-in in Winnipeg, they have pictures from various concerts at the Winnipeg Arena all over the wall. And he saw one of Taylor Swift. He did a double take, like, oh my God, that's Taylor Swift. And Andy Bender from the Preds social media crew captured it on video, and it was quite funny. And then on Tuesday, the marquee inside Bridgestone Arena that they take everybody's pictures in front of said, "May the force be with you." And Nick Perbix walks in, looks at it, and says to the camera, direct address, "Is it Star Wars night?" He's just a normal guy who became an NHL defenseman, and we love him. So read the article.
I love the Winnipeg reaction. Like, Taylor Swift's been to Winnipeg? What? When did that happen? No, we love Winnipeg. We love Winnipeg. It's a great spot.
Do we?
So yeah, Nick Perbix, the Purbinator, as Ryan O'Reilly told us. So we had actually a really cool conversation with Ryan O'Reilly after Monday's practice. It was Ann Kimmel as well from Penalty Box Radio was there asking about nicknames. Factor, Kara, you mentioned it in the first segment. It's one of the best nicknames in the NHL. He got it all the way back when he first started in Colorado, and a big show at the time was Bill O'Reilly, the O'Reilly Factor, and said, I know he threw out John Michael Lyle's name. I think Paul Stastny, he said, were a couple of guys that gave him the Factor nickname, and it's just stuck with him. And everybody around the NHL kind of knows him as Factor. But he threw out a few other good nicknames. We mentioned Nick Perbix, the Purbinator. He said he's trying to get that one to stick. The Romanator. Bunt Cake for Michael Bunting. Of course, Juice is always a favorite, but I think Factor, it's tough to beat because, Max, as you and I have talked about, the bar's pretty low for hockey players. Usually you just throw a Y or an IE at the end of someone's name, but Factor is up there for sure.
Factor, I've always liked like the human eraser. We've heard that. But you're right, Brooks. It's always a Y at the end. Brooksy, Maxie, Jonesy.
Hammer. I think people just call you your last name, Kara.
I'm just Hammer, which was Dan Hamhuis. His nickname was Hammer, so I always felt like we needed like a Hammer and Hammer. But Steven Stamkos, Stammer. I don't know, Max. Any other ones I seem to be missing here?
I don't know about from the current team. I formalize O'Reilly. To me, he's Mr. Factor. I don't know. It's just the respect factor for Mr. Factor.
Respect.
Yeah.
Respect. Well, we brought up the time that it was Scott Hartnell and Ryan Hartman here, and they were both Hartsy.
Oh.
And what do you do when there's two of them? I mean, obviously, the goaltenders right now. First, it was Juice, and then Annunen came in. Yeah, Annunen came in and said, well, I'm Juice too. So it's kind of become Juice and Big Juice, or Big Juice and Little Juice. I think that works.
Yeah. We're having this conversation last night about Tyson Jost. He will be on Smashville Live with Max and I later this evening as we record here on Wednesday. But what's it like being so close to Roman Josi? I mean, it feels like there's a lot of Jost happening.
Every time I have gone to type Jost, I finally fixed it. But just every time for the first couple of weeks that he was here, I went to type Jost, and it just naturally turned out Josi. I'm so conditioned to hit the I instead of the T on my keyboard. I think we're finally getting there, but that's a tough one.
It's a tough one.
Well, let's continue on. A guy with another good nickname, Toots, Jordan
Oh.
Tutu. He's going to be back in Smashville, a fan favorite, with quite a story to share as he returns on November 22nd, of course, before the Predators host the Colorado Avalanche that night. He's got a new documentary coming out, simply titled Tutu. And he's, again, quite a story to share. He was known for his in-your-face style. People loved him here, 8 NHL seasons with the Predators. But he's also had to share his struggles over the course of his life. And Barry Trotz, he and David Poile, kind of known for having a meeting with him, essentially saving his life a number of years ago back in Nashville. It's going to be a fascinating story. Tutu was here in 2019 as the Predators honored him almost a decade after he got sober after that 2010 meeting. But this is going to be a really cool event. So tickets are priced at $22. They're going to include a Tutu train whistle for all attendees, which we know that was a huge thing here back in the day. Proceeds from the event are going to benefit IndigiNash, which is Nashville's Indigenous Arts and Film Festival, in partnership with the Forge Nashville. Of course, Tutu, the first Inuk player in NHL history. And you can go to NashvillePredators.com. There's a story there that I've written that has all the information. You can click a link for tickets and to get more info. But again, November 22nd, it's going to be around lunchtime, I think, after that morning skate against Colorado, but before the game that night at Bridgestone Arena. But again, all the info is on NashvillePredators.com. And if you're a longtime Predators fan or a newbie as well, if you get the chance to go see and hear from Jordan Tutu, well worth your time.
I'm really excited, Brooks. I've never met Jordan Tutu before. He was, I guess, was he even on the Preds when you began? Either of you began covering the team? He was gone. He was still in the NHL, but he was not on the Preds.
Correct.
No.
He was on the Devils and the Red Wings. But yeah, I've never met Jordan Tutu. I have read both of his books. I think they're both exceptional. One was written during his career, and one was written at the end of his career. And I imagine the documentary will include many things that are also in the books, and the books were absolutely exceptional. So I'm really looking forward to this. I will be there. Again, it's the same day as a Saturday home game, November 22nd against the Avs. So Smashville Loyal, make your plans to join us. Smashville Loyal will have a meet and greet opportunity to see Jordan Tutu, get an autograph, get a picture. And I would encourage everybody to come watch the documentary. And as Brooks said, the money goes to a good cause that is very important to Jordan Tutu himself.
I will say, I don't know that it's going to be the most family-friendly documentary. There is some heavy stuff in there. So just a word of caution there, but obviously well worth it. You'll be better for it after seeing and hearing Jordan Tutu's story. And hopefully we can get him on the pod. He's already been on once. For those of you loyal listeners that go way back to 2019, you may remember Thomas and I had him back on back in the day. So if we can get him, we will certainly take that opportunity to have a good chat with Jordan a little bit later on down the line here. So we will be back to wrap things up in just a moment to bring you the Biggie Awesome Person of the Week and also some fan thoughts to get to. We're coming back. It's the POP on 102.5 The Game and YouTube.
Welcome back to the Predators official podcast. I'm Kara Hammer with Max Herz and Brooks Bratten, and this week our Big E rock star of the week, our very own Teresa Walker. There was a great article that came out about Teresa Walker. If you don't know this name, she is a sports writer for the AP here in Nashville. She has been covering the Tennessee Titans since day one of them coming to Nashville. She follows the Predators. She is an all-around amazing person. One of the people who were so welcoming when I got here. But there was a really cool article that came out with her and former Tennessee head coach Mike Vrabel that every time he would start a press conference would say, "Hi, Teresa. Hi, Teresa. Hi, Teresa." And I thought about this because she was just out at the Preds game covering her, and I saw her in the post-game press conference, and I went and we just hugged. I don't always get to see her. And I was like, "Teresa, why are you so awesome?" So that's why she's our biggie person of the week. And Max, you know her. She's just an awesome person.
Yeah, well, Aaron Donick was certainly a huge fan of Teresa Walker's. They honestly have a ton in common, both amazing moms and amazing female leaders in their spaces. So I think Aaron certainly would approve of this Biggie Awesome Award of the Week. And Sunday morning, we returned from Winnipeg. Brooks, I think we got home around 2 a.m. after that game. And I had been asked earlier in the week to go work TV production at the Vanderbilt soccer game on Sunday afternoon, which was a great experience. And I enjoy doing it so much that I did on very little sleep. But it's in the ESPN control room at Vanderbilt. So ESPN is on a TV in the control room, and it's muted. And it's Sunday morning, the NFL pregame show, the nationally televised pregame show. I look up on this muted TV, and I see Teresa. I was like, oh my God, it's Teresa. And then they show Mike Vrabel at the podium. And I thought, there is no way that they are doing a national televised segment about Mike Vrabel always giving Teresa Walker the first question. And that is literally exactly what it was. And it's just such amazing storytelling by Mike Reese, who's been at ESPN forever and does a really good job in print and on TV. And when I was producing at 102.5 The Game, not only producing the POP, I was also producing Willie Donick's daily talk show, and Mike Vrabel's press conferences were often in that time slot, and we would play them live on the air. And every press conference started with Mike Vrabel greeting Teresa specifically, and then giving her the first question. And then one time when we had Teresa on for an interview, I made this mashup of Mike Vrabel showing Teresa some love and played it on the air.
All right, Teresa. Teresa, what's up, Teresa? How you guys been? What'd you do this weekend, Teresa? Anything fun?
Nothing but watch football and rest.
That's fun.
And afterward, I sent that to Teresa Walker, and she made it her ringtone, which was a great honor for me.
That's great. Well, yeah, Teresa's wonderful. Her son and I both have red hair. So for the third time on this show, we're talking about gingers. I know Teresa and I are both partial. But yeah, what a great person to choose as our Biggie Awesome Person of the Week. It's a fantastic feature as well. If you haven't seen it, if you haven't read it, go check it out. You'll be better for it. So Teresa Walker, why is she so awesome?
Rock on with your bad self, Teresa Walker.
Go
we love
team.
you, and now America loves you.
As a reminder, you can always use hashtag Preds Podcast on social media or comment on our YouTube link below if you'd like to give us a topic to discuss. And we got something, well, a couple of comments I wanted to mention. First off, I think the username was Tia Brander, maybe. If I'm totally butchering that, I'm sorry. But whoever you are, you know who you are because you said you love listening to the podcast every week. Thank you very much. This is my second full season as a hockey and Preds fan. Welcome to the greatest game on earth. We're so happy to have you. One topic I would love to learn more about and get a better understanding of is players being traded, specifically with free agency, and how much of a say does a player have in what team picks them up. So there's a ton to discuss here. We could probably spend a whole episode on this, but for the sake of time, I'll just mention a couple of things as far as items like this are concerned. So free agency, you've got a little bit more of a say. So free agency comes July 1. That's when a player is no longer under contract with a team. They're free to go wherever they want. We see that happen a lot with players saying, hey, I'd like to go to this team. I'm really interested in that team. I'd like to, maybe they're playing somewhere closer to home, that sort of thing. You see that all the time. So in free agency, you've got a lot more say. If you're getting traded, maybe not as much. Sometimes players, there's things called no trade clauses, no move clauses. Players can have lists of teams that they cannot be traded to. So that's always an interesting wrinkle that comes into play. But I think a great example, we just saw it happen in Nashville, was Eric Haula being traded back to Nashville for the second time this past June. And he revealed to us that he actually played a role in that trade. It was clear that New Jersey wanted to move on, but Haula was still under contract. You can't just get rid of him. So they were going to trade him. And he said, well, hey, I'd love to go to Nashville. I love playing for Andrew Brunette. They've got a long history together as player and coach. That's a great example of a player having a little bit more influence and saying, hey, I'd like to go here. Or you'll see it a lot of times too, especially older players. I think Ryan McDonough getting traded back to Tampa was a great example with Barry Trotz a couple of years ago. Barry Trotz saying, I want to do right by the player. I know that Ryan McDonough obviously loved playing in Tampa, still had roots there. So that was a deal that you make happen. So it depends on the player. It depends on the situation. But guys, I don't know if you have anything more to add, but a lot of times players do have at least a little bit of a say, especially free agency, maybe not as much when it comes to the trade deadline or just a trade in general. But there's certainly a lot of little nuances there. And then we'll certainly talk more as the trade deadline comes, as free agency comes, as we get later on down the line here.
I think the only thing I'd add on that, Brooks, too, is sometimes you could find yourself in a situation where there is a veteran player who has put in the time with one team, hasn't yet had that chance to win the cup, and you could see them move them to a team that might have a chance to get it done. I don't know if this is official, but I believe that Pekka was asked at one point if he would want to go, and he chose not to. So that could be a situation as well.
Yeah, the trade deadline is a big factor in all this. Many players, especially those on expiring contracts, will get traded from non-playoff teams to playoff teams at the trade deadline, which is in late February, early March every year. And I'll shout out, sadly, my late sports economics professor, the great John Vrooman at Vanderbilt, who passed away a few years ago. But sports economics was a very popular class at Vandy, and I enjoyed it very much, which should not be surprising to anybody. But there is a graph of teams going for it at the playoffs will go straight up, and teams not going for it will go straight down, because many of the best players on those non-competing teams will go to the top teams. And that applies in hockey, baseball, and basketball, and kind of NFL, where there's not as much trading. But yeah, it's just quite interesting that people can be traded. And I appreciate T asking the question, because we get so into, we're in hockey every day, like, yeah, he got traded. It's like, this human being got traded, and he has to move, and his kids have to move, and he's now on a different professional sports team. So it's it's something that's good to take a step and think about. So we appreciate those type of questions. And thank you, Tia, and hope to see you at a game soon.
Yes, 100%. And I wanted to mention one more comment. The username, I bunch of letters and numbers, so I'm not going to try to pronounce it. But they just said, well done, everyone from a Habs fan. So not only are we making inroads with the Predators fandom, but Montreal Canadiens fans, come on over.
Nice.
Good content.
Maybe doing some pre-scouting before our game there last week, perhaps, by listening to the podcast.
I imagine that was probably the case. We love your atmosphere in your building. We love your poutine, love your hot dogs, and
we love Ziggy's Bar as well. Shout out to Ziggy's Bar.
Max is a big fan.
They gave me a free hat last week.
A free hat that you cannot wear on the air.
Right. We would have to redact some of it, but it's a very nice ball cap.
It's a great baseball hat. Yes, thank you to everybody who continues to listen. And again, we love talking about different things. This is a great example of, we wouldn't necessarily be talking about trades and free agency right now, but that is along the lines of things we're always happy to discuss. If you've got questions, we are happy to bring you a little bit closer to the game that you love. Guys, we love doing this podcast together. Another episode in the books.
Yeah. And we hope to see you tonight on Smashville Live.
Oh, yeah. Kara Hammer's Smashville Live debut coming in hot. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'm Max Herz for Brooks Bratten and Kara Hammer signing off. It's the Predators official podcast.